Okay, we're going to take a look at the HMI operation here. So I've already went through and I've added a new device, and the S7. I went to my project view here. You can see that I've got my CPU up right there. So going back to my portal view, I now need to add an HMI right here. So we can just go with something basic here, even like a 9-inch display. I'll add this basic one right here by double clicking it. So it's going to take a second to load up here. And what we need to do is we need to associate this HMI with a CPU. They must be linked, okay? Okay, so that took a second. So what I'm going to do is this is going to come up. Like I said, I need to select my PLC right here, and that's what the one that I've got selected. I'll hit the check mark right there. Now I could go through and do some setup stuff here, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit finish. So as it went through and finished, it then went to the project view. So there I am again. I have my root screen here. I guess I'll just go in here right now and just delete that. Maybe we don't really need that. I have my PLC here and my HMI there. And if I go up and I take a look at my devices and networks real quick, you'll see that those are connected right there. That's what that green line means. You should have that, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to my PLC tags, and I'm going to create a couple of tags. So I'm going to write PB1, and that is going to be an address right there. Supposedly we would have an input hooked onto there. I would have light 1, and that obviously needs to be a Q 0.0. So Q 0.0. So I would supposedly have an input and a light hooked here. I'm also going to make an HMI PB, and that is going to be an M. Okay, so that's a bit. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to make that M 0.0, and I'm going to go ahead and make an HMI light. Okay, I'll hit enter and it automatically loads it. So I supposedly have a real push button and a real light, and a fictional HMI push button and an HMI light. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my ladder logic here, and I'll program into the main right here, and I'm going to have this, and I'm going to put an OR here and another input, and I'll create that there, and I'll go ahead and do 2 outputs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to have my my real push button supposedly, or I want to go my HMI push button, which isn't real, it's on the screen, turn on a real light, or turn on the fictional light, the HMI light. Okay, so there you go. There's my ladder logic right there. Okay, so now what does my root screen look like? Well, I need a couple of things on here. Here's my elements right here. So the first element I'm going to do right here is a button. Now a button isn't necessarily, can be a variety of things. Okay, it can be a push button or light. So I'm going to put 2 of those on there. I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one right here. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one right here. And so when the button's not pressed, I'm going to make this PB. Okay, and then you can change it to change tech when the button is pressed. I guess you could write in there pressed. Right? Okay, and then there you go. There's my label. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is this is general, and this is a push button, so it's an event. So I'm going to go a press event. I could either click or a press. I want it to be a press event. I need to add a function, and my functions are going to be my bits. I want it to do something like invert bit. That would be sustained. I want it to the set bit pressed while pressed, so it's going to act like a momentary. Okay, so the tag that I'm going to associate that with, like a momentary, is I'm going to go up to my tag table, and I want that to be my HMI PB right there. Okay, there you go. Let it populate there in a second, and then that should be good. Now I'm going to come over to this one right here, And what this is going to be is an animation. Okay, so basically I want this to animate when something happens. So if I go to my tag connections, I'm going to add a new animation. I want to connect a tag to the property here. Let's see. Sorry, I want to add a new animation, and I want it to be an appearance. And the tag that I'm going to go with this is, go up to my tag table, I'll pick my HMI light. How's that? Okay, and then so my range right here is 0. I guess I'll have the background color in the 0 case like red. And then I want to add a new one. And then when it changes, when that tag comes true, let's make this green. How's that? Okay, so there you go. So this is a push button, and that's supposed to be a light. Okay, and I could go to my properties here and change this to light. Let's see what happens. Okay, so at this point, what I want to do is I'm on my HMI, and I'm going to compile it right now. Let's just go ahead and compile that. Okay, so there it's compiled. I've got a lot of yellows here because I didn't put much information on here. You're looking for something that's orange or red, tells you it's not going to work, but that's going to work. All right. I'm now going to go back to my main right here. That was my my main OB, my logic, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to compile that as well. Okay, so that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my simulation. So I'm going to come to the PLC first. That's what I want to start with on the PLC. I recommend. And then I'll go ahead and I'll right click here and I will want to start my simulation here on the PLC. Okay. Let's give that a second to start up the simulation. I found that. I'm going to load up that. I want to start my modules. I will finish that. So just to be sure, I want to be in the run mode right here. I could either go from the run mode here or the run mode there. I'll go run here. Yes. It's in run mode. So at this point, I can go online here. And if I created my tables here, I could toggle this off and on. Okay. I'm going to go into my HMI now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to now simulate this. Let's try that again. So at this point, let's see if this works. So what I do is I supposedly have a real PB or a fictional PB. If I click this, notice that it's coming true on here, and I've got invert bit while pressed, and my light is coming on. And in this right here, if you were to create your table for your tags, then you would see that the supposedly physical light and the physical PB would activate as well. Okay, so once again, I recommend that you do it in that order, that you get it all set up, that you compile them, and that you first of all take your PLC and then you simulate that, and then you simulate the HMI.